Hey guys, welcome. This is episode 11 of the How Would Jesus Sell series. And here's a topic. This will be short and sweet and to the point. Here's a topic most people don't understand, I believe, don't understand about what Jesus did when he communicated. The reason why, or one of the many reasons why he was so effective, was because he rallied people around an idea that the old model doesn't work. That the old model is more of a counterfeit model and there's a new model to subscribe to. So think about your message. So I get fired up about this. My name is Dr. Dan Sullivan. For those of you who have maybe new to me or new to this channel, I get fired up about helping mission-centered, on purpose entrepreneurs and leaders who want to get their message out. You have a message to get to the world, and maybe you've struggled telling it, or you don't like maybe some of the tactics that you see other gurus teaching. That was me. And so I sit here and I evaluate and I look at and I study the life of Jesus. I want to be more like Jesus every single day for all the reasons that you do. I think oftentimes in the business world, we don't think that, Jesus applies to that, but he does. And this is where I want to shine light on. And I think this particular topic is going to be maybe a surprise to some of you, and that is this. Jesus rallied people around a new idea, a new model. Therefore, the old model is an outdated model, and it's more of a counterfeit model. It's a model that will leave you sick and stuck and dependent, where he wanted you free. He wanted you healthy, whole, and ready for the next level. And so think about what you're trying to sell. Think about the message you're trying to get across. You're doing the same thing. There's a new model. There's a new product. There's a new offer. There's a new way. Jesus said, "I am the life, the way." He didn't mince his words. But here's the point of this episode 11, and that is rallying people around the antagonist. If you watch a movie, no movie is worth its weight in anything if it doesn't have a bad guy. The antagonist is the bad guy. What was the bad guy? In Jesus' model, it was the reason why in Mark 11, 15, he's flipping tables. He has a level of holy discontent that the old model is leaving us sick and stuck and dependent. And in this case, he saw these rich tax collectors, or these people trying to make money in bad ways, in ways that subscribe to the old model. And he said, "I taught you this, guys. I'm sick and tired of you here and flipping tables." How would Jesus, who was sinless, by the way, he had this righteous anger, this holy discontent. And when you see this through the Gospels, when he spoke, he was kind and soft and empathetic. But at the same time, he stood for something. He rallied people into an invitation to a new model. Let's leave the old model behind, right? The legalistic doctrinal model of the Old Testament, right? The law of Moses. He came to be the new way. And so I've done this over a period of time, and I can admit that it hasn't been always it hasn't been the best way. Sometimes I just get fired up and I am not, perfect and sinless. I have my own share of sins. And so I'm telling you this, though, when you look at the neuroscience. In fact, I read a book called True Believer by Eric Hoffer, and part of his book, he talks about to lead a movement, you rally people around a message of hate, which was a hard one for me to grab because I'm like, no, we're a message of love. But if you really go deep into that, he's right. The message of hate is important because you want to rally people around. If it's not only what you're for, but it's what you're against. If you're for something, then that means by definition you're against something. And Jesus was against something. He was against the old model that kept you stuck and dependent and perfect, that you had to be perfect, or that again, we're being led down this idea of this legalities and everything that you were held against, right? That's why he came, to destroy the old model, and he died for our sins. And so why is this important? Where does this leave us? I would say that if you don't have an antagonist, you need to start there. What's the message you're rallying people around? Not just what you're for, but what are you against? And do your people know that? Because in sales, our job is to rid the old model, the old product, the old offer, the old way, and we're giving them a new way. This new way must be better that we're for. by definition, we're against the old way, keeping people sick and stuck. I've been in the medical model, right, or the healthcare, which I'm trying to get people to away from the medical model. Drugs, disease, the idea that you've been told you're weak and defective and bound to break down, or you're bad genes or bad luck, that's garbage. And so I've been rallying people around that. Ephesians 5:11 says that take no part in the fruitless seeds of darkness, but rather expose them. And I've been exposing that for a long time. What are you exposing? Maybe you're not exposing enough. Maybe you are just been too nice, like you're the nice guy. This is why nice guys don't win, because people don't get anchored into people who are just nice. And Jesus wasn't just nice. He came to defeat the evil and the enemy. He came to defeat the idea that you needed to be like this, and only the chosen people were the people who were willing to follow Jesus. That's the chosen people. That's like you or I. So what's the takeaway here is, I teach this to all my clients. I talked about a big three. What pisses you off? What breaks your heart? And what problem do you solve? When you start there, right? What pisses you off? What just grinds your gears as it relates to your offer, your product, your service? What pisses you off? What breaks your heart? Because it's the same thing as if something makes you irritated and grinds your gears, it's because it breaks your heart. That's where the empathy comes in. And then ultimately, what problem do you solve? What new idea did you get and are you bringing to the table that people need to be behind? That's what sales is all about, getting them to a new idea. Eric Harper says you want to build a mission, build it around hating the old model, the counterfeit, right? That pretends, and getting them to truth. And Jesus did that, with holy discontent, with a righteous anger, with clarity and with conviction. He was convicted more than any. And so let's use that to get our message to the masses. And so more from me. If you need help really ironing your why, or the cost of saying no, or this big three, the antagonist, all these things, we work with our clients. And when you do this and you build up your message that's very customized and specific to you and what you're trying to offer, that's when things change and things get easier. If you want help with that, click a link below. Would love to jump on a call with you and find out where you're at, where you're headed. This is what we do for our clients all day, every day. So continue to sell like Jesus, continue to have a heart like Jesus, but also sometimes it requires flipping a few tables. I flipped a few in my day. So, all right, that's it for this episode. We'll see you on the next one.